Welcome to the first episode of the Without Intent podcast with your host Mouse and Satan's Foreskin. Thanks for listening and enjoy with caution.
How are you feeling? We're releasing this on Sunday, this Sunday?
Father's Day.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, hell yeah. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day, Fartman Sr.
Hell yeah. Yeah, fuck. This whole idea kind of came out of nothing and a lot at the same fucking time.
Well, it started as you trying to be a TikTok thought.
Oh my God. Those videos are burned. They're burned.
Good.
I am not meant for TikTok. It is not the medium for me. I just need to be realistic. It does not fucking read at all. Oh my God.
Yeah, no. That I never would have watched that.
No, I
would have heard 1 second of your camera voice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then I would stop and I'm like, oh my God, holy fuck. But I couldn't not. The second a camera was on and I was like, hey guys. Oh, nope.
No.
Nope. That's not me. That is nope, not at all.
Yeah, that's fucking dull.
Yeah.
So this is the first one.
First of a few or however long she goes for.
Yeah.
We've got 6 so far? Banked? 5?
Yeah.
Somewhere around there?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So we're going to start with it every second Sunday. We're doing Sunday? Yeah.
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 Sounds about
Cool.
good.
Cool. Dope.
On the Lord's Day.
Perfect. Oh my fucking
Father's
God.
Day and the Lord's Day.
Oh my God. Okay, so you had started the Saturday Night Smoke Show. And that
Yes.
was, what year was that?
I remember buying a bunch of the audio stuff I want to say the year before COVID.
Okay, yeah.
And then started literally, I think I'd have to look back at the dates, but I think I remember recording episode 2 during the pandemic because buddy Austin brought what's it called, a vaporizer, but one of the big tabletop ones.
Oh, yeah.
And so we were using different hoses to
Oh,
suck
shit.
out of it.
Fuck yeah.
And because of COVID, so somewhere around there. When did
And then-
COVID actually start? 2021?
That was 2020.
That was 2020?
Yeah. I'd like to just block the whole thing out of my mind and just pretend it didn't happen. Very thankful, not thankful it happened. I grew a lot as a person, but I don't want to think about it.
Why? Because you just didn't get to work?
Legit. It sounds absolutely dumb, but that was the biggest fuck moment I kind of had.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had a lot of them, but that's the thing. I think in life you accumulate so many real big pivotal kind of points in your timeline, and that was definitely one. I didn't realize that work had become so much of a crutch to me, and still is. I love that I get to do what I'm passionate about every single day, and I'm just happy to get my bills paid. I just do it for the passion. That was the big thing. Yes, I need to make a living in order to keep doing it, but it meant so much more to me. And then not having that, I had a whole existential thing.
Yeah, no, I just kept working the whole pandemic.
Nice.
Weirdly enough, that was when I really got into therapy and started getting medicated, but
Hell
it had
yeah.
kind of nothing to do with the pandemic.
My therapy and medication came kind of when I started being able to work again.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, we had a hiccup on the tracks. I had no purpose, and I'm just hello, darkness, my old friend. And then now it's time to dust ourselves off and take care of ourselves a little bit more, because I mean, life can't always be just work. And
What was that first day back like? Because I can't even imagine taking a year off or something like that.
No, we only ended up having 3 months off. We were pretty,
Oh, really? Okay,
pretty good. It was very short for us, and I'm very thankful because I couldn't imagine having went through longer. And I know a lot of people, everybody kind of came out different though too. And I think a lot of artists now are kind of learning to take these other projects on to kind of refill their cup, we've been joking
Yeah.
the whole time about side quests and how important it is to kind of have other outlets of creativity so that we don't burn ourselves out doing one thing for
Yeah.
so long. You know, it kind of gave, I think, artists a little bit of a freedom of expression and I guess opening up our minds to realizing that we can't just do one thing all the time. Our bodies are going to shit out, man. Pace ourselves.
See, I don't ever want to do one thing. Like I think about how awesome it would be to just do a bunch of things, not for money.
Oh, 100%.
Like if money didn't exist, I would still probably be doing dog grooming like 3-4 days a week.
Hell yeah. That's how I feel about tattooing. 100%. Like even if I won the lottery, I'm set for life. I'm still going to be doing tattoos.
Yeah. You're just
You
going to
know?
be like way more picky about it.
Yeah. And then I'm going to be doing a whole lot of other things too. And that's kind of where I'm trying to gravitate my life into a little bit is experimenting with different mediums. I honestly do think that media is a different medium that every artist needs to kind of navigate as well. And I was like, you know, TikTok ain't my fucking app. Let's say that. I'm realistic about myself. I'm like, no, that's not me. But this is kind of a interesting tool. I like this, the photography, like taking pictures and stuff. That's fun. I can see that from an artistic like eye and kind of enjoy that a little bit. But
Yeah.
posting all the time is just like, I don't know. I like to not think about it. And then when I do post, I'm like, it's always like, oh my God, I'm so in love with this piece. Thank you, so-and-so. And yeah, I genuinely am very proud of what I put out there, but it doesn't sound like me. You know, you can tell when you're like feeding the machine or
Yeah.
the algorithm. And I'm like, oh, fuck, that kills me artistically, you know, like that kind of,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it also doesn't look good on Instagram if you're just like, oh, fuck yeah, bud, look at this gypsy cat.
hell yeah. Fuck. So your podcast, how many episodes did you do?
I want to say like 15.
So then, yeah, you recorded after pandemic as well, too.
Yeah. Because it was all. Did I? I mean, depending, like when everything was shut down, I went way past that.
Dope.
But I think there were, I don't know, depending on what you call the end of the pandemic.
Yeah. I
But-
mean, that's debatable. But how have you found so far kind of getting back into this, like from who you were there to who you are now? Do you feel like you have a lot more of a, oh shit, I learned this and that, and it's coming a little bit more easier?
A little bit. I started with the wrong editing program.
I don't know
That was-
anything about that shit.
Yeah, that was just really hard to get a hold of because it's made for making music.
Oh,
And then
okay.
I jumped into the one that I used on the last podcast, the
Oh, okay.
Adobe one that's a little bit more geared to.
Towards this type of
Yeah.
audio.
And it was a setup. Like I looked through when I re-downloaded the app
Yeah.
on my computer, and I still had all the effect pre-saves
Oh, okay.
or presets from when I was doing the last one.
Oh, sick. So,
So it was
kind
like
of
all these
easier
different
to...
filters and effects, and you just load them up exactly where you used them last time.
Dope. Cool.
But obviously had to make new ones for this. But it was just like that. Like I watched like 3 things on YouTube.
yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, how do you set this? How do you like
Yeah.
find out where you want this to be? And it was just like back.
Yeah, I don't have the brain for it at all. I'm like, no.
It's fun.
See,
It's
I
fun
like
to just
editing
dig into.
software. Like I like the Photoshop and, you know, like obviously I Procreate my iPad and everything like that. But
Yeah.
as far as my ability when it comes to technology, it is so piss poor that it's unless I have like an interest to use it,
Yeah.
my brain just blacks out.
Yeah.
So I could never imagine tackling something like this without somebody else who actually enjoys audio
Yeah.
editing.
Do you have to pay for that app
What app?
that you use on your iPad? What is it?
Procreate?
Yeah.
It's just a one-time thing.
Oh,
Unless it's
okay.
renewal. Everything's just kind of auto
Renew.
renew,
Yeah.
maybe. I think it was just a one-time purchase, though.
That's nice.
Yeah. It's fucking worth it. Like, anybody who wants to draw and doodle, like, it's
I
nice.
wa-
I've
I
been
wanna
going back
try
into
it.
paper a little bit lately. And, like, especially since I'm now, like, I want to paint. And, like, I've hated paint my entire fucking life. And I've realized it's because paint kind of has a mind of its own. And I like pencil crayons and pencils and, you know,
Yeah.
even tattoos because it's very straight where you put it
Yeah.
and you have that control. So I feel like artistically, if you're leaning away from something, it's something you should probably be leaning into. So it's kind of fun because I have a few projects coming up that I think I'm going to go back to drawing on paper for a few of them.
Yeah.
Like, fuck yeah. I'm really, really happy that when I got into tattooing, it was before our iPads and everything. I'm really happy that I got to see that everybody on the fence about like, well, I don't know, man. And like, I mean, it kind of came out far before that too, but not a whole lot of artists were jumping on board. And then I saw that like little transition of a lot of people looking down on the iPad users.
But you also saw the wave coming.
Well, when I got it, I'm like, I'm only going to do it for fun art. I'm not going to do it for tattoos, like I'm going to do it just to play around.
Yeah.
And then the convenience is just absolutely awesome. I can start focusing my attention to other details of my career and my life when I have more conveniences in different places without losing the outcome of it too.
It's not just about a convenience though. It's when you can find those efficiencies.
Yeah, it makes you more effective.
It makes you get more done with the same amount of time.
100%. Now you're just using your time more appropriately, but you have to go through that when you're doing something new, There's always that weird, scary adjustment period of trying, and that means it's going to have a lot of failure attached to it too. And I mean, it's only going to be failure if you just give up and quit. There's always something to learn from that. But I mean, a lot in the face all at once fucking sucks.
Okay, well, speaking of something not deep,
cool.
How much money do you want in life?
But no.
Like, do you like?
I don't have a number. I don't.
Are you like fine with bills paid, or are you like okay?
I would
you don't want fuck you money though.
No. I just want money that, like, honestly, I would just be investing more into my art.
Really?
Like, literally, I could have all of my bills paid, and I'm still gonna use all of my time creating things.
Yeah.
Like something doesn't matter what it is. I just want to make things. So I'm like, I'm happy with a roof over my head and everything. Like, I don't need anything extra and fancy. Now and again, treat yourself. I did buy a sports car that was way too much money, but I was like, I'm making tattoo money.
It was
my
dope,
first
though.
vehicle. It was so dope. I'm so glad that my buddy ended up getting it. It's being treated beautifully and it's being added onto and everything. But like, looking back, that's not me. That wasn't like, I'm very glad that I had it. I got to test the waters, experience it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. And I paid it off. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Super cool.
Having
but
a
I'm
dope
like,
car
going
is
forward,
dope.
I'm like, I love my fucking Ranger.
Yeah.
I love it. My
Those
little
are
like
sick.
crank windows going down. Like, I'm not into the extras or the flashy or like, trying to prove your status, kind of things. Hell yeah. Would I like to go and party on a yacht if I, won millions of dollars?
Exactly.
Fuck yes. Fuck yeah.
I mean, I will settle for like good fuck you money in life. Like having that surplus that you can kind of just do whatever the fuck you want.
It's the experiences. I think that's the thing is I'd way rather invest in doing things, traveling more and like,
Yeah.
that's a versus having things. But everybody says that until they end up stumbling into a ton of money.
Yeah.
And then just become an asshole.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I'm going to settle for fuck you money, but I want like influencing elections money. That's the goal.
Oh God, no.
That's
Fuck no.
the goal.
No. Do you know what happens when that happens? When you attain a certain amount of fucking money, our brains are just monkey brains. We are very basic fucking organisms.
Yeah.
Our little dopamine centers no longer go ting, 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 ting on anything when you have that amount of money.
Because you're focused on taking over the world. That's what people with that kind of money do.
No.
That's what I want to do.
Oh, ew, gross. Do you want to be responsible for the world? No. I would never sleep at night.
I want to single-handedly have enough money to choose the next prime minister. That'd be dope.
Oh my God, I would not even have the attention span to no interest at all.
I'd love to be like in the States with the politicians like that, where they just...
You want to be pulling the strings at the top?
Their kids are going to be in, and they're going to be super corrupt, and then their kids are going to be in, and it just never
watching
stops.
The chaos and feeling like God.
You can look back over these elections. There's like 4 families that have been...
Oh my God.
That have been like presidents of the United States in the last like 12, 15 years or something.
I don't know fucking history or politics. I'm terrible.
I do. I follow the fun stuff
math
out of the
is
States.
Another one. No, math and news, and no, I like to stick my head in the sand.
But if something pops up that they found a UFO, that's news. You'd probably fucking hit that.
100%. That was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Before saying anything,
That's
I'm
news,
just
though.
saying there are other life forms out there. And hell yeah. Okay, on my bucket list, I have a whole bunch of weird things I'd like to do. One is I'd like to find a real rank Sasquatch enthusiast and go in the woods for a couple days hunting a Sasquatch.
Do it.
Just humoring the guy. Tell me where where did you find this? What, they're just so that they can go on forever.
Yeah.
You see that little spark in them and they're like, let me tell you about Sasquatch. And I'm like, yes, please. Oh my God, I live for that enthusiasm. I love it.
And then at the end of the trip, they're like, well, it's not Sasquatch season, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah, exactly. And same with the aliens, 100%.
You're like, oh, and maybe next time.
Yeah,
Thanks,
100%.
Will.
Fuck yeah. Just for the experience. Are you kidding me? That, just the conversations alone during that entire trip would just be neat.
I bet it would get boring after one night.
Because all he cares about is Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Fuck. Intense. I mean, I love that though.
You'd wake up and you'd be like, hey, Will, were you making breakfast? He's like, it's in the air. I can smell her.
Licking his finger and putting it up to the winds.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Doing the Hunger Game thing, just pulling some grass out and throwing it in the air, just seeing which way it goes. He's like,
yeah. It's a good day to get a Sasquatch.
We're close.
Oh my God. I love that though. I love people who are into a weird niche. One weird thing that everybody's like, oh, well, at least he's got that hobby.
People that are on the spectrum, you mean?
I love them. love us so much.
Yeah,
oh
right?
My God.
There's nothing like a good tism to bring you and somebody else together.
Oh my God, it's such a good bonding cocaine. Oh my God, I love it. Talk about hobbies. What did you read up about for the last 3 days that you refused to sleep?
Right? You're like, oh, African hippos was the last 3 days for you? Tell me.
Yeah, right? Oh my God, I love it. I fucking love it.
Perfect.
I keep on still leaning away from the mic.
Oh, well.
There's probably going to be a massive compilation of just all of my burps. You've had a few. You've had some.
Oh, yeah. I've got a good, 10 or 15 that I could choose from.
Hell yeah. That'll just be our, season ender is just a collage of burps and drinks cracking. Oh, my God. Sweet. Fuck yeah. Okay, where do you want to go from here? Do you want to talk a little bit about these next 6 episodes that are going to be released a little?
No, I'm feeling selfish. Let's just talk about ourselves.
Just talk about ourselves? I can do that. Tease the people.
You're going to wait for the fucking...
Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to, drop a whole bunch of, oh, it's coming out soon. Oh, it's postponed. Oh, no, it's not. No. Oh, my God.
Man. We asked this to everybody that's been here. What's one thing you did recently that you're really proud of?
I would have to say, I'm going to say the paintings. My last one, I have one I'm currently working on, and I'm still feeling it out. It's going to be a couple of sessions. It's huge. But the last one that I did kind of took such a weird direction. Ooh, that was a good one. It kind of went into a really weird direction. My first painting in this series was scenic. The second one I started as a scenic, but then I did some overlays because I got kind of bored of the scenic. But I'm really happy that I challenged myself, and I'm kind of finding a spark in with paint right now. Whether that's a hyperfixation for a week or 2 or a year, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
But I'm really proud of that one because I feel like I kind of grew a little bit as an artist. I like that one.
With just that one.
I'm obviously very proud of what I do, but I'm very terrible at taking I'm so self-critical,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be.
Yeah, because I'm striving for perfection over here.
Yeah.
What's one thing you've done recently that you're very proud of?
I was thinking about this on the way over here. I did.
I had totally forgot about this too. I'm like, oh, fuck. I like to go into this blind whatever.
No, I did a schnauzer recently.
No,
nothing special on the torso, just shaved it all, but I'm getting so much more confident, getting close to, the eyes for the eyebrows.
Mm-hmm.
Because the line is like, the middle of the eyebrows, you're going to let that go long, but then you're going to basically cut it straight from the tip to the side of the eye corner, like as close as you can get it, and that's what gets it that nice like triangle shape.
Oh, okay, where they have those like grandpa eyebrows protruding out.
Yeah, like you're supposed to be able to see a little bit of the eye from the side, but if you look them straight down the muzzle, you should be able to see both eyes clear as day.
Oh,
that's what you're shooting for, but you also want them to be covered from like most angles that you're looking at the dog.
Well, and I imagine that's the challenge too, especially when you're newer and more nervous too with a dog that's moving and stuff, you know, like trimming super close to its eyeballs.
Yeah, no, that's terrifying. You can go back on my Instagram, you see every schnauzer that I've ever posted has like slightly like wider, less triangular eyebrows, and it just as time goes on, they're getting closer and closer. Yeah.
I love when artists leave their like past projects up on like their Instagram and stuff, because now and again I'll just keep scrolling far back just to see that progress. And I've debated too, like, do I want to go back and like delete older shit? And I'm like, no,
leave
like,
it there.
Yeah, right? Because if I scroll back far enough and their very first post was just a fucking spectacular tattoo, I'm kind of like, dope, cool. You've always been dope. You're always gonna be dope.
Yeah,
neat. You know, I like the feeling of being humbled personally,
being able to look back at your own too.
Yeah, right.
Like I'm looking back now. I wanted to like make a little like album of all the schnauzer faces that I've done, and I looked back at some that I thought I knocked out of the park, and I'm like, no, I was too nervous to get it closer to where it needed to be.
The more you're doing it too, you kind of have that eye tweaked a little bit. And I think, you know, and obviously an application too, but I think a big issue when you're getting into something too is that visually in your mind you kind of see and you know what you're trying to attain.
Yeah.
But physically you're not there yet. Because that was my first.
Not knowing the right questions to ask.
Well, and that too.
Whether it's somebody else around you or it's yourself.
Or not having the right answers to those questions too, you know? So it's a weird navigating, and I think like it's obviously very important to learn from other artists always on every career and every creative field. It's gonna take a lot of other people's, you know, like you keep saying, it takes a village. It's something I say all the fucking time. Because like I know those first 3 years I was given a lot of great information, and I'm very, very happy with how I was taught in my apprenticeship and everything. But I also had to have like a little bit of that patience where I could see what I'm trying to do, but I couldn't get there. And I didn't have that patience with myself too. It was so fucking hard and frustrating for so fucking long. But for whatever reason, my brain decided, nah, you're not quitting. Yeah. You're just going to keep on going, and hopefully something's going to be a less sucky than the last sucky. And it's just like that that's always the hardest learning curve in a new project or endeavor.
Yeah. Okay. I was thinking about this the other day. What's an apprenticeship look like? Because I was thinking about the way I got into grooming, and I'm like, an apprenticeship would have been way better rather than, because I was just kind of hired on. What is it
with grooming? Like you typically take some courses?
Well, I shouldn't say too much because it's big corporate company. But you kind of just start as a bather. You know, you're not doing any haircuts. You're tidying up some feet. You're doing nail trims. For the most part, that's about it. You're doing baths and blow dries and brushes. Mm-hmm. But eventually they send you to this like training program, and you and like a bunch of other people, you'll watch somebody, you know, whoever that's been doing it for like 20 odd years. Do a demonstration
in front of you.
Yeah, you do a bunch of book work, and then she starts doing demos, and then she starts, you know, getting you to do like little stuff. I don't think it was long enough, because then...
How long was the course? Oh, all right. Yep, no worries. No worries. No worries. You do the course, and then you kind of start with like your intro to grooming months. Kind of stages.
Yeah, well, no, you get through the course, and obviously you're doing your first few like full cuts and everything like under the supervision of this person. But once it's done, like you're just kind of thrown to the wolves. obviously you've got I had the rest of my salon there, and like my salon manager, and everybody was willing to help out, but you really are just like thrown to the fucking wolves.
Well,
No
I think,
pun intended.
yeah, no, yeah, definitely.
My first dog after I got out of academy, I went in like fucking like literally my first solo day, Wednesday morning probably. I went in and it was like a fucking pelted mat jacket. My first fucking one.
So that's like a massive job, I'm assuming, is a lot
Yeah.
of...
I mean, you're pre-shaving the entire thing and having to do it super slowly so you don't like fucking catch
And
skin
obviously,
and shit.
if it's at that state too, it probably doesn't like to be groomed.
Well, depending.
Sometimes, yeah.
A lot of those ones, I find that they'll kind of start off shitty, but the second that they get that relief of getting like that fucking
No, they're like, hell yeah. that
carpet
mat
off
is
of them,
off. Yeah.
you can just give them like open up a little bit, give them one little scratch like on the bare skin,
Yeah.
and they I can see them instantly like calm down
Like
just
the
a little bit.
relief.
They're like, oh, that's what's going on
Oh,
here.
hell yeah.
Okay, this isn't comfortable, but I see where
Yeah.
we're going.
Yeah, they start to build that trust in you. I feel like in every trade, I can't say in every trade, I haven't worked every trade, but I feel like there is a certain point where you have to be thrown into the wolves. I feel like that is important. I do think you, try to give them as many tools to succeed as
Yeah.
possible. You know, like you should be rooting for that person because it's just going to make you all look better.
Yeah,
But I think there is a certain aspect to, you know, like when I did my first tattoo on, like, I remember the first one I did on somebody who wasn't anyone I knew,
yeah.
and like how nerve-wracking that was. And like, that's a whole fucking story. I don't know if I want to even talk about her.
So an apprenticeship, how one-on-one is it? What's that
Everyone's
look
different.
like?
It depends on who you're apprenticing under. It depends on the shop. It depends on...
What was yours?
Mine? So, yeah, I did apprentice under an individual and a very great shop. I ain't saying names or any of that. It was a very great shop, and I feel like I learned equally from kind of everyone there.
Yeah.
Not so much as the person I apprenticed under being the one and all. Like, obviously, he's the final say to what I listen to and what I do.
Yeah.
But I feel like equally I learned so much, and I was so grateful that I had such like strong fucking artists around me
Yeah.
to really pull in on kind of like helping, because my apprenticeship was, you know, your more old school kind of style apprenticeship, which I absolutely value 100%. And nowadays we're kind of like moving a little bit differently. And I like how some apprenticeships are being run. I definitely dislike how some other apprenticeships are being run.
Yeah.
That's just
What
me
was
and my
yours?
own fucking opinion.
I'm assuming it was something like you start on like paper, you move to the machine with like oranges and cowhides and shit, and then you're just highly supervised on people after that. Something like that.
Yeah, when I first got my foot in the door, it was at a shop where it was kind of like, okay, you know, here's some fruit. Did the pig's feet, I did that kind of skin, and then it was like kind of straight into people, like with a whole lot of like watching over other artists working and everything. And then I actually took a step back and kind of restarted my apprenticeship on my own choice to learn a little bit more traditional
Yeah.
and rewind back into learning how to make machines. And,
Yeah.
you know, like, although that information didn't quite stick to this autistic brain, I definitely, I value that knowledge it's still out there to be taught, and it is incredibly valued that is taught.
Yeah.
But I do see where a lot of people are kind of leaning more towards a more comfortable apprenticeship. And I'm not saying that there's ones that are comfortable and uncomfortable, but I think the ones where you can make money a little quicker are kind of...
What would those look like? Are they just faster? Do they just kind of give you
Oh,
a
there's
machine?
people who are like advertising like courses to learn tattooing in a day. There's like that ain't. I'm sorry. You're not gonna learn.
Probably just give you one of those really
Oh
new
my
machines that just be like,
God.
push the button, there you go. That'll be
Like,
$9,000.
It's so cringy too, because that's what I do see. I do see a lot of that. And, you know, like, we have to be transparent that our industry is unregulated, and, you know, it is
I'm in the same
starting
boat.
to change in a lot of different countries and everything. And like, we need to I understand people needing to be taught a little bit more and a little bit more in depth and having more of a baseline to go off of.
Yeah.
But you can't teach that all in a textbook situation. You can't teach that all to a group of however many students. You can to an aspect of, your procedure and your aftercare and et cetera like that,
Yeah.
your pathogens and all of that. But I think when it comes to tattooing, there's a lot of history that we need to learn and we need to pay our respects to and our dues to, because these are people who've been doing it for 20 plus years. Their opinion is the one that matters the most. You cannot just expect to pick up a machine and just do tattooing and succeed. Some do decide to take that option, and there's a few that do still actually succeed with very little guidance. It's not a lot, but there are out there. I think that there's so much to tattooing that you cannot really get that out so easy over a short period of time. And every artist and person is individual with different strengths and weaknesses, that it's such a, if I ever took on an apprentice, I told myself maybe one in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Maybe. And I'm like,
can it be me?
Fuck off. Fuck you, no. I haven't ever seen somebody yet that I was that I even really kind of turmoiled with
that you
myself.
Want to spend that much time with?
Well, that, but also seeing potential in. I know there's a lot of people with potential out there, but there's been no opportunity in my life yet that door kind of seemed like a possibility.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to explore that for another 5 years. Technically this month is 10 years since the first tattoo I ever did.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm still not ready to teach somebody. Are you fucking kidding me? I have so much more to learn, and I can keep learning myself because it never ends. It doesn't stop. There is, I guess, technically you've graduated into a professional, So
wait, when's your 10 years?
Okay, so there's actually a laptop in the drawer underneath you. I'm not going to get you to get it or anything, but I was going to look at it last night. And it's the very first tattoo I ever did was on Dorian.
Yeah.
And I remember the date was June 2013, but I can't remember what day it is. And I was going to check it last night too, and I just fucking keep forgetting. But I'm pretty sure this month is 10 years since the very first tattoo I did. I kind of took a step back. I did some tattooing, and then I kind of went back to kind of restart my apprenticeship. So there was a year of kind of retracing your steps, Every time you ask a tattooer when they started tattooing, none of us know how to fucking answer.
So that means this one's 10 years old. I didn't even think about that.
That would have been the same year, because I think you were literally the third person I ever tattooed.
Something like that.
And that was the best one I did in my first 3 years. That's the I look back at myself when I was starting, and I can see the frustration from the other perspective of being a professional. And I can see where the mind, it was just not translating. And I was so nervous all the time. I was just a quivering leaf.
Yeah.
And so I can see where it's holy fuck, there is what the fuck? And I'm what the fuck? Are you kidding me? I don't know what I'm doing. You see, I don't know what I'm doing. And it's very comical to me looking back that, that's a lot of tattooers' first couple years. And we, I think it's very important that as tattooers, we can kind of say those kinds of things. Your first few years aren't fucking solid.
Yeah.
Even with a smooth running ship, all of the fucking guidance under the world, it's still going to be such an adjustment and a learning curve on at least that 3 to 5 years before things start really kind of clicking. And I think that that's kind of transferable into other artistic careers too.
Yeah. So how much do you think that should be a industry that's regulated in some way? What do you think that would look like? Because I think that would look like some sort of a formal education in some aspect of it from an actual accredited educational institution. And that would also be a governing body that has the final say in whether you can do it or not. Because I know out east, there's a group that's trying to get grooming regulated, trying to get everything working with pets regulated like that,
100%.
but specifically grooming and training.
Well, and it should be.
Yeah. It fucking should
100%. And that's kind of how, you know, it's kind of controversial in the aspect of saying, you know, that I would want some type of regulation into our industry. But I think that is only going to help us all evolve properly.
Yeah.
And it would be better for our industry in the whole if we were to have a little bit more education being poured into people. But I mean, it's one of those things that's going to happen whether we're on board or not.
Yeah.
We need to be realistic that this is what's going to fucking happen. So if artists can start to voice up a little bit more, then maybe our concerns or directions and how it should be going are going to be heard by the right people who are going to come in and do it anyways, you know? Like, and that's kind of the thing that I see. Like, I do believe that if you were to be going through proper education, you're going to need to learn skin is a whole fucking industry on its own. That's dermatology.
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah, you're basically a backdoor dermatologist, I guess. Hey?
I guess coat hanger dermatologist. Yes. No, it is. It's our largest organ, and it's absolutely fascinating. Like, I can look at a tattoo and tell whether the client were to fuck it up or I fucked it up, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and that in its own is only one umbrella on top of working with understanding the muscular structure of the person to make a design actually work with their body composition. That's a whole other thing.
And all the health risks.
Well, and you've got to go through 100%. You got to go through the history of what we're doing. Yeah. And the art behind it.
If you're going to make if you're going to make a tattoo artist go to school for one thing, it should just be like the health and safety aspect of it, like the disease prevention. Just do like 6 months on that. And if you do that, you're in the regulated industry.
Well, when you're apprenticing, you take your bloodborne course.
Yeah.
I have my own opinions on that course.
Can you not take it and be a tattoo artist professionally?
Well, yes, you can.
Yeah.
You take it and then, I mean, you can buy a machine off of Wish or off of Amazon.
Can you get a business license without that? That's a good question.
Yeah, it's actually pretty easy.
Oh, okay.
That's the thing is at least where I'm coming from and how I'm operating. It's very, very, like, I'm not going to say simple. I'm not going to say that, but it's that weird thing. Like, if you're going to want to say you want more regulations, it's a big undertaking, you know, because there's a lot of things that I think people need to be taught a little bit more than here you go. Yeah. Throw them to the wolves at a certain point too. You know, you do have to go through learning and adjusting and growing and all of that and continually learn from people. Like, it's not like take a course and open up your own shop. It'd be take a course for an X amount of time. You know, I would say at least a 2 to 3 year and then apprentice underneath somebody for around the same kind of time, I think would be, and that might be harsh or not. I think that's a decent timeline to be.
2 to 3 years of school, you think so?
3 years of
You think that's what's ideal or what should be required?
I've never sat down and actually thought through the logistics of any of that shit, because I ain't going to be the one who wants to vouch for that. Somebody else fucking do it. You know, like, I'm too preoccupied in just my own journey and my art and my fucking shit. That's not another hat I want to throw on this fucking plate. Are you kidding me?
If the government came down and was like, hey, we're regulating this industry and there's like required training that I don't care how long you've been doing this, if you want to be in this industry, you have to do, how much regulation would they have to put down before you're like, this is the stupidest shit I've ever heard? If they made you take a 3-month health and safety, like that bloodborne pathogens thing, if they made you take like 3 months of school for that, would you be like, I hate these people? Or would you be like, that makes sense?
I'm going to do whatever I have to do to get there. Like, I would be like, yeah, that makes fucking sense. 100%.
At this point that you're at, would you be pissed if they made you take a 3-year university course?
I would do it. I would be pissed about it, but I would do it, you know? And it'd be a lot, because I mean, that's a lot of people investing, especially like somebody who's been in the industry already for 10, 20 years. Are all of us going to have to go back to school? You know, like, those are other big questions. If they bring down those regulations. Yeah. That's just it, is that there has to be some type of bite-sized in between, where if you started getting into tattooing at this kind of time frame, or like, I think it'd have to be something that's moving forward. And in my situation of people who've already been tattooing for a long enough time, we should be able to pass some type of test. Because I guarantee if you were to give somebody who's tattooing 10 to 20 years some type of test, like, you best believe I'm going to be studying that fucking material and I'm going to fucking do that test, regardless of on top of if I opted to do courses or not. Yeah. But that's just kind of me off of the whim. It depends on what it is, because I am not very, very knowledgeable with history machining.
It's a 5-second test. That's a big one. It's a 5-second test. Tell me if you pass. Draw a perfect circle.
Oh, fuck. Fucking fuck. Then we're all fucked. We all got to go back to school.
There's like 6 people on the planet that kind of have that rhythm and can draw a perfect circle.
Isn't it like when you just like swing your arm in the big like circle and fucking, it's supposed to be a perfect circle? Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know. That's a whole conversation that I don't think has been opened up quite yet, at least publicly, from my knowledge. You know, I've heard of different laws coming into effect in different places that are going to cause that ripple effect throughout other countries as well. That is its own kind of thing. But I think that, you know, on top of it all, our industry is just going to keep on moving and growing. Yeah. You're either going to have to move and grow with it or jump ship, which is going to be a sad thing when, you know, that happens to some and it helps others and hurts others, you know? Not any of the things that I want to, like, I don't want to be voicing my opinion on an education board or to the government or anything like that. Like, no, like, don't take me seriously. I just draw things. That's it. Let me go home. Let me go pet my dogs.
I've thought about this a lot, and I really wish dog grooming was more regulated than it is, because, like, technically, like, this is, because it's not a certified industry, you don't need any formal education to do it. Realistically,
would it benefit to do something that's like kind of broken down into different subsections of schooling where
they have that?
You have like your more advanced kind of thing.
They have that, but because this industry isn't regulated, technically they're just training courses. It's not any sort of, you don't get a certificate of an actual education, which is ridiculous because, like, you kind of should.
Well, that's tattooing too, is that you can, I say, sign up to the seminars, the webinars, that kind of stuff, like constantly.
I've been doing that.
And that's what you have to do. You have to take that initiative because it's something that we're taking seriously, that we weren't, you know, it's the extra knowledge outside of those basic tools. And I think from right now, at least from my own experience, is that we were given the basic tools off of the get-go and then thrown into the wolves. Yes, you know, like it's kind of, you're going to have to learn it or not. But there's always different areas that you can grow and expand off of that, you know? Like, it's kind of up to you if you want to be taking grooming more seriously and going into shows or something like that. And like, same with tattooing, you know? Like, I do think it's very, very simple to do a nice, clean, easy procedure, nice little clean tattoo with very little, you know, guidance. Like, you don't need like to do very basic walk-in kind of style tattoos. Yeah. That course can be a pretty short course, but it's the things outside of that. I think like there's a little bit more when it comes to how far you want to kind of take things too. And I think that's the same with dog grooming too.
Yeah. Like the same way you probably did a bunch of like infinity symbols and live, laugh, loves and birds. And
100%.
I have the same thing with just, you know, shave a Shih Tzu down.
Yeah, I always think Shih Tzu is like probably the most. Yeah,
just shave it down, brown teddy bear face, out the door. Like that's, I could have days where I'm doing 6 of those, and it's just the same.
Well,
thing.
Then it becomes monotony. You know, it's a rhythm and it's a pattern. You know,
but you also need to be able to like have that to a certain extent.
That's the basics. Like that's fundamental.
I'm starting to get to the point where I could like kind of do it, not with my eyes closed because that's dangerous, but you know what I mean? It's very just like going through the motions now. Like you could probably draw an infinity symbol with some words just in 3 seconds off the top of your head.
Well, and I think that repetition is important. I remember an exercise that I did when I was apprenticing, which was drawing repeatedly the same kanji 100 and some times. And at the end, I had tattooed it on myself. And it was about perfecting just that line work of tracing it over and over and over
Yeah.
to get more comfortable in the motions, as our physical body. And then I remember the next day, the artist who told me to do it, he's like, let's see the kanjis. And I looked at him, I was like all proud. I was like, here, look, I did it. And he looked me dead in the eyes and grabbed the piece of paper, ripped it in half. And I looked at him, I was like, that's a lesson in learning how to let go of the past, right? He was like, just like blank stares at me, walks away. I mean, I think it was
like, fuck your work. That's why.
Oh, it was about, the biggest lesson was learning the motion of doing that repetition over and over. And, to me, it's not a big deal. Whatever, fucking 100 kanjis, rip it up for all I care. It's fine.
Yeah.
But it was, the biggest lesson was that it wasn't the outcome. And I think that's kind of what a lot of trades kind of go through is that, you've got to have those building blocks essentially to make something happen. And that's why it's such a hard kind of question on where do you put regulations exactly? Because if you were to take on what would be the highest epitome of dog grooming, like a type of cut and breed that you're like, fuck, that's a hard one. Holy shit, that person pulled it off. That is art.
Probably either like that real, like wild creative stuff that people do where you're like
with
drawing...
the dyes and stuff
yeah,
too?
well, not like, I really like some of that like animal pattern stuff that I've been seeing.
I
that
fucking
one guy
love that. Turn Bruiser into a hyena, please.
One day.
Yeah.
But the really weird shit where like they'll paint like the entire cast of The Simpsons on like the side of a dog and then they'll shave out so it's kind of 3D. That's probably the most technical thing that you can do, but overall just like a show cut on like a poodle, just something like that where it's very, very specific, like where everything has to go and how it's done. That's very, very technical.
Is that the type of shit that you want to eventually get to?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how bad I want to like do grooming for like other people's show dogs, but I know
well,
I'd love to.
You want to get into it a little bit.
Yeah, but I know I want to have like dogs that run around for the 6 months of the year that it's easy to maintain it with cuts like that.
Yeah, I like short-haired life for my dogs. It's so nice.
It is nice, but once I don't know, maybe I like...
Do you feel like it would be work when you're grooming your own dog, or that's like a...
I think it'd be going through I think it'd just be like a chore. You know what I mean? Like you could put some music on and do it, because I know now, like, exactly what I would have to do with a puppy to get it to just sit like a fucking show dog, just like a statue, for however long it takes.
Oh, for any kind of cut or
once
anything?
It's an adult, yeah. So it'd be like doing a chore. You're just,
Well, that's another thing is that it's like the behavior of the dog and like the training is something that also is massive to integrate into your trade as well. Like you don't have control over how that person trained their dog and that this dog isn't good at listening and But
I've also kind of learned how to do that because we're told stuff to like recommend to like, new puppy owners that need this shit. Like when we first kind of got out of that little training academy thing.
Mm-hmm.
And some of it you find works, and then some of it you just hear from like coworkers that learned other stuff, and you can kind of identify like based on different breeds, different hair types and shit, like what people need to do.
Do you think that that's something that could be implicated into more regulations in your industry?
Like teaching
about the breeds and how to handle, dog handling is a thing as well.
I mean, not in my industry. I definitely think that should be regulated.
Yeah.
I am very I have some strong fucking opinions of how just dogs, like breeding and getting puppies in general, should be regulated, because I hate that it's just the Wild West out there. What I would like to see, and this will never happen because it's so extreme, what I would like to see is you need like not just like puppy mills, like obviously those are bad, but just like backyard breeding, the people who were like, I want to take like a fucking Mastiff and mix it with a Frenchie and get like those little pocket bullies that people say that look like bullfrogs. or even just the people that are like that are doing the doodles now, that are just finding like some random poodle and some random whatever it is, like a lab or a retriever.
Yeah, and just
being
being
like,
able to.
And they're not like, experienced breeders that have been doing the purebred shit
that's
for
the thing
a while.
is that's not something that anybody can implement regulations on, because anybody could fucking do it at any time. You know?
could have a board that oversees who's allowed to do it. We have the Canadian Kennel Club like that.
Okay.
Their website's garbage, but once you can find your way to like local, like if you could find like the Standard Poodle Club of Canada, and that's a very, very good resource. And if we had something like that was an actual governing body, like you had to have some experience in doing this already. You had to know, like, the way good breeders do it, the way like working line and show line breeders do it, where the parents are always health tested.
Yeah.
If they find a defect, that bloodline dies, period. And there's some mishmash with how you should handle like purebred stuff like that, because that's kind of the reason like 100%. We have like Frenchies and English bulldogs that can't breathe, because they're so
there
inbred.
Needs to be something that kind of stops that from continuing, because it's just adding that suffering. But it's nothing you can control though either, because you can't really control.
You kind of can through selective breeding.
All dogs, which not all dogs are even registered, or you never know. Like there's always going to be somebody doing it without
but
anyone knowing.
Cracking down on it would be a good start, saying like, you can't just, you have a dog, your friend has a dog, you can't just make them breed.
Some type of application before.
There shouldn't, and I don't know, like sometimes
the way that
I
see it is that like tattooing is even done in prison.
Yeah.
Like that's the way that my brain's kind of working with it, is that like it doesn't matter. Like you could take anything, like everything away from people. They'll find a fucking way. They always will.
You can make it harder. You can make it way more difficult.
It's true.
You know what I mean?
At the same time, you just adapt and overcome. They'll always find a way. Because
it's not just about the breeds, but a lot of breeders, like good ones, they breed for temperament too, right? If we had like hard laws and regulations against people like breeding dogs without
that don't have the right temperament.
Like there's people. This is how you get fighting dogs. No good breeder is raising like staffies to be fighting dogs. They're raising them to be like, have that drive that the breed standard is that it was originally bred for, but like not kill other things.
You're always going to have somebody hopping into your backyard and scooping up your dog and taking it away.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do about it. That's the thing, is that there's nothing really that you can do about it, unless every human being was monitored 24/7, which is not something we should ever want.
No. It's always a good idea to monitor your own shit. It's always
a good idea. No.
To monitor your own shit, yeah.
You want to run the world. I'm not trusting your opinions, okay? Like, now I know where your drive and your motives are.
But I think really regulating breeding in particular would be a good, like...
I've never bred any dogs, and I didn't, like, I don't
want to.
Know any of
I kind of want to, maybe, one day. That's
I don't
low
know
on my
any
list,
of
though.
the logistics behind it. I got my blue and my bruiser.
The real, like, point of it is there's no point in breeding two dogs unless they have some sort of accolades. Like, there's a reason for breeding them. That's why you see these good breeders, they have like, oh, this parent was like best in show at this, and this parent was like a military dog, and this parent was whatever, like an agility champion. Like, those are the dogs you want to breed because they've got good joints, and
it turns into an actual humane thing.
Yeah.
Which is the other side of the coin too.
Because most of these dogs that you see out there, they were bred originally like to have jobs. You know what I mean? Whether it was like
big time,
like pit bulls were bred to fight, guard dogs were bred to guard.
Yeah. Got your workhorses.
Yeah. You got,
your
stuff
herding
that
dogs.
Was originally for like herding, and stuff that was for like, a lot of dogs were bred for violence. Not all of them for against other dogs.
Well, they did come from wolves.
Yeah, exactly. But you get the best dogs, and especially the dogs with the longest lives that do that kind of stuff too. It's the Mastiff that sits on its ass for 8 years that needs like 9 knee replacement surgeries.
Yeah.
You don't see the giant schnauzer that's out there in Afghanistan doing military work. He's living to like 12, and he's eating like
Did
just
you
raw.
see that like they just celebrated the world's oldest dog the other day?
Oh God, what was it? Put it out of its fucking
I don't
misery.
remember. Brent was telling me about it. I don't know what it was. 22 years old, I want to say.
Oh fuck!
Something
Why?
like that. Yeah.
That makes my brain hurt. That thing's not happy. What is it? Is this a small one? Do you remember?
I don't remember at all. You could Google it if you wanted to, but
if that thing can walk at all, I'll be blown away.
No, it's a sad thing. Knowing when to recognize to let go is a very beautiful blessing.
Yeah.
That we can just translate into all aspects of life.
And I get it's hard, but like it's really hard when you see the ones that
you don't
want
to see suffering or struggling, you know.
Yeah,
you don't want to see that. Oh my God.
That's the shitty part about my
I'm glad that my dogs are forever dogs. You know?
That's what I'd love to go to another salon for is we aren't allowed to use like supportive equipment for like old dogs. Like we can't air jail them with those little hammocks.
Oh, okay.
Like,
you guys don't really have like the mechanisms.
Yeah, we don't do that. So there's a lot of times I've seen a couple now age to the point that like we got to say, hey man, you got to find somebody more qualified than us.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's hard.
Like,
that's totally hard.
And it sucks because a lot of the time you fucking love these little things.
Oh my God, I don't know what I'd do without animals. Like I love my dogs, and like cats are great too. They're some are better than others. I'm a dog person.
Yeah, cats are weird.
Cats are the independence is nice, you know, like.
They're fine.
No, I want my dependence. Oh my God.
No, I want something that like you can do activities with.
Have you ever owned reptiles or anything? Somehow you strike me as a reptile owner. Just something about your look just looks like you'd be like, oh, I had an iguana.
I am not a reptile person. I don't ever want those. I think I have a fantasy about owning a parrot. But I don't think I'm ever going to. I could never do
a bird. God damn it. No.
I don't know. They're cool. That's the closest thing you can get to owning a velociraptor. I think that's why I like them.
Yeah, and that's why they terrify me. And I know that they smell fear off of me, and that's why I don't go near them. Like, no. My nephew got attacked by a seagull last year. And he's so scared of seagulls now. I saw his, like, baseball game the other week, and he was, like, looking around at the seagulls and, like, he keeps an eye on the fucking seagulls now ever since. Like,
yeah.
Poor buddy.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I don't trust birds. Ugh.
I think that's how everybody goes out when there's the geese in the spring.
Oh my God.
You're on like high alert. You're like, these things are just like ticking time bombs.
I took a picture in Edmonton when I was there for the show. I totally forgot about it. They have sidewalk signs that say beware of geese, and it's like a stick man running, being bit by a goose behind him.
You ever gotten into it with a wild animal?
So as a kid, apparently, obviously, I don't remember because I was just a child. And the big running joke was that we lived in Regina up until I was like 4 or 5 or whatever. And we'd go and feed the ducks. And I guess my mom like turned and like talked to my dad or something, and then like turned over and saw me walking up to a fucking goose and grabbing it by the fucking tail feathers off of its ass. And they both were like, no! I didn't get bit. I grabbed a goose by the butt and lived to tell about it.
That's a rare occurrence.
I just walked up and grabbed a goose.
Wild Canadian.
Have you been attacked by a goose?
No. I don't think I have. I
don't think you're Canadian unless you're attacked by a goose.
I think I got chased by a peacock once at the forestry farm, but I think that's the closest I ever
Peacocks are terrifying.
I did run into a mystery animal that scared the shit out of me once.
A mystery animal?
Yeah, I didn't see it.
What?
I was walking my old dog Asia down by the river, and it was like pitch black. Like it was like midnight. I was just trying to get away from the person I hated at my house.
Yeah,
so I was like
going for a nighttime stroll.
Yeah, so we're just walking down the trail, and like this is not, Asia was never like a horribly like mean dog. She kind of had some bad experiences with dogs, and she wasn't a big fan of them later in her life. But like we're just walking, and she never cared about like wildlife or like seeing birds or anything.
Yeah,
kind of wanted to kill every rabbit.
Yeah,
that she
that's
saw.
dudes. Get the bunny.
But we're walking, and all of a sudden she stops and looks into this bush, and I hear like this fucking like low like stomach growl that I'd never heard from that dog.
Yeah, and then
Ever.
when it's a different sound, you're like, ooh, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was one of those things that just kind of made the hairs on your neck stand up, and I'm like, that doesn't just come out for no reason. We're gonna keep walking.
You just went forward, or did you turn around and walk away?
I just went forward because we were walking on a path by the river.
So you didn't
and
like
she
see anything or
turned.
like hear anything?
No, it was
it
pitch
wasn't
black.
Sasquatch.
I
It was
think-
probably Sasquatch.
I think I remember
Dogs
hearing,
have a sixth sense.
I think I remember hearing a little like rustle in the bush where she looked, but also like it could have been fucking nothing.
Fuck, that's one thing that like
Her
I
reaction
absolutely-
scared the shit out of me. That's
Oh,
what
yeah.
made it.
100%. Like they pick up on things totally that Blue and Bruiser too. That you notice it. Like I don't know, there's a different feeling when they're like growling at something different. I absolutely love camping, being up at the lake, and like that little like rustle or bustle of the trees, like when you're trying to fall asleep in a tent.
Yeah.
I love that feeling. I love that. Like I can only imagine like how terrifying it'd be to be in a tent and then hear like a growl, a grunt, like a bear or something. Holy fuck, no.
What would be scarier, hearing a growl outside of your tent or being in a tent and hearing your dog in the tent like growl at something?
At something outside of it. Ooh, I think
have no
right away
idea?
the second option. I would trust my dog really quick too.
You'd trust the bear that you hear outside to just keep walking?
No, I would just be like, okay, whatever. But obviously my dog's gonna alert whatever the fuck it, like that's
Yeah.
the other fear and panic in there is like, oh no, like at least the bear, it's like, you just try to be silent. I imagine. I've never put myself in that situation. I've never had an encounter with a bear.
I know if you want to intimidate them, you're supposed to throw your hands up and wave them like you just don't care, but I don't know what you would do if you're like in a tent. Like, do you just stay silent and hope
You
it
just
walks
stay
away?
silent. Yeah, you'd hope it walks away. That's all you could fucking do. I've heard, I don't know if it's true. I've never Googled it or anything. But when you encounter a bear, it's if it's brown, lay down. If it's black, fight back. If it's white, say goodnight.
I mean, I know polar bear. I think they'll all kind of kill you.
Well, yeah, clearly. But I think if it's brown, you just have to like lay down and play dead. And if it's black, you want to like punch it in the nose. I don't know. I wouldn't want to do either. I just want to run away and shit myself on the whole fucking run. Like,
Have you ever seen that documentary about the fucking guy that lived with bears and then got eaten by one?
Yeah.
Yeah, good old Werner Herzog.
Oh my God. Like, I don't know. When you decide to undertake an exotic creature of that type of stature and power, no, that's a different
I stay the fuck
level.
away from wild animals. I'd have a couple of people bring like,
I got bit by a lemur in Mexico once.
oh God, why were you even that
Because I
close
was
to them?
feeding the lemur.
Why? They
Because
eat on their own.
I don't know. He like went to grab the food out of my hand and like nipped my finger a little. And I was like, I don't think that is anything I need to worry about. So then we were walking down the resort. I like went with a couple girlfriends and I'm like talking to them. I'm like, I don't really have to worry about being bit by a lemur, right? Like, I should be fine. And then there was like a British lady behind us. She walked up and she was like, oh, fuck, I can't do accents. She was like, did you say you got bit by a lemur? Or that's
not
yes. Oh, okay. And I right away, I was like, yeah. I'm like, why? She right away was like, you need to go to fucking emergency, like right now.
Yeah, it's a wild
and
animal.
I was like, no, I should be fine. And then like I came home and then I was kind of paranoid about it for a little bit. I'm like, should I worry about this? I don't know. Doctor said it's fine. They can only treat you for rabies by a certain type of bat. They cannot treat any other rabies. And the doctor told me, what did the lemur look like? And I said, he looked super cute. And he was like, he didn't have fucking rabies.
Yeah.
I didn't fucking know. If I knew, I would have been playing up the symptoms of rabies and like been like afraid of the water and shit. Like just to fuck with everyone.
Yeah, I know my doctor recommended, because I work with animals, that I should get a tetanus shot. Because that's I think that's like a preventative for like rabies or something that comes with a dog bite.
Yeah.
So
have you ever had a severe bite?
No.
No?
No, I've had I've had a lot of like little nips, couple
Little
ones
scratches.
that like I'm thinking about it now. The skin's been broken more so from scratches
Yeah,
than bites.
scratches are way worse.
Yeah, but I've had like maybe one or two little nips that have actually kind of broken the skin, but like
Is that something that ever lingers in your head when you're doing your job? Is that
100%. Like anytime I meet a new dog, like if I'm checking a dog in, and especially if it's a big one that I've never met,
you don't know
with
them
any
yet?
size, like the first thing I do if I'm trying to like get a lead on it or just kind of introduce myself, get it to smell me, whatever I've got to do to
Build
kind of
its
get
trust,
on,
though.
build some trust with it. I'm giving it my left arm.
Mm.
I'm never putting my right arm to a new dog, especially a big one. I'm fine with like I had a little like Lhasa or something that had just come over from India and like its first haircut in the country, and it was super super aggressive. That's one that I was like, this thing could like put a couple holes in my hand and I could still finish the
Did
day.
you still try to do the job, or that was a point where you're
No,
like, no, I
that
can't?
That was a point where I was like, man, if I can't get a hand on him,
Yeah.
like there's no way I'm getting anything else here done.
No,
So
100%.
I was like, we'll keep trying. Like I'm the person that's always like, with a safety risk or like something behavioral like that, I'm the first person to be like, yeah, we'll try it again.
You're the one to say fuck it.
No, I'm the one to really quickly be like, hey, this is not happening, but I'm also the same person that's going to be like, let's try this again.
Well,
Bring
there's
some
a certain
treats next
aspect when it
time.
comes to dogs too, where they're testing you. And
Oh,
you
yeah.
have to know that difference.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
it can look
100%.
scary. If you don't know a dog, you do not know the type of breed and the mannerisms. You have to be able to read the dog and read what is the difference between alert and nervous, or like,
Yeah.
you know, and there's a lot of testing, especially in a circumstance like that, because you're both going into it not knowing each other.
Yeah.
And like the testing of it looks quite scary too. A lot of bark and no bite sometimes.
Yeah, the vast majority of dogs, like, just, they're fine with people and there's no issue. Like, you can just put a lead on them, like, all right, let's get started. And most of them are just fine.
Yeah.
You know, they might be excited to meet a new person. And that's sometimes nice because that's the most difficult thing about most dogs. But, like, it's not the vast majority of them come in fine. It's those, like, rare ones that you're definitely specific breeds, though.
Do you kind of notice in your body too, if you're like right away when you're encountering another dog that's a little bit more defensive? Do you think you pick up on that right away?
Yeah.
Yep.
Especially because I'm looking for it from certain breeds too.
And you're kind of going into it with a bit of a bias beforehand.
If I see old, like, protection breeds, mostly from Germany and that area of Europe, like Rottweiler, the closest I've been to like being bit while the owner is in the room and I'm trying to get to know the dog then is like German Shepherds, Dobermans, Rottweilers, like those kind of big, like, popular, like, tough dogs. Because those are the ones that were bred to like kind of be Velcro dogs with their one person, and if you fuck with them, they were made
100%. And I think a lot of
fuck you
people
up.
don't really realize that when they're going into that specific breed of dog.
And like I said, most of them are fine.
Yeah.
But where I'm most likely, I think, to see those traits when the people are around is with those old German guard dogs.
Yeah.
So those I'm like especially on the lookout. Those are the ones that hate men the most. Without a doubt. German Shepherds.
Do you think that adds
Rottweilers.
more into like it's their protectiveness?
A little bit. Like me, like a lot of the time it's, you know, we've had like lots of bullshit little dogs that like don't like men too.
Do you find it's true that the little dogs have the big personalities and big dogs have the little personalities?
No, little people put less time into training little dog.
They let them get away with it more because it
Yeah.
looks cute.
Well, not just that, but it's like there's the same amount of aggression. There's a far lower chance
The
of
risk.
danger.
Yeah.
The risk
okay.
is much lower if you have an aggressive Chihuahua versus if you have an aggressive Corso.
Mastiff or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if you have, and we're seeing in the States now,
Yeah.
if you have 100-pound Corsos or 80-pound Doodles that like rip into a child, it's going to kill them. If you have a 5-pound Yorkie that rips into
Comes
a
at
kid,
it with the same
gonna
kind
need
of
a
energy.
Band-Aid.
Yeah. 100%.
So there's certain ones that I'm on the lookout with, but any new dog, I'm kind of just like, you know, that Cesar Millan calm a certain
be neutral
energy.
and feel each other a little bit. That's how I kind of like walk into it a little bit, is like whenever I meet a new dog too, is just kind of like neutral, like, buddy, we're just both figuring out each other. Like, I'm not going to give you a reason not to like me. You don't give me a reason not to like you.
Yeah.
And like my ability to kind of like read dogs, you know, having dogs is something that I kind of rely on a little bit too. Like, I'm going to know kind of the warning signs, when to back off, when to not make eye contact.
Yeah, like there's easy stuff. If you see teeth, if you see teeth, back off. If you see the tail
teeth,
tucked,
then
you're
you just
like, what the fuck's the matter?
Put your arm right in there and go, oh my God, who's a good boy, with your face like right to them.
Yeah, that's exactly what you do.
Oh my God.
That's actually what I do with my dog. Get her all riled up. She's got her teeth out and I'm like,
oh, I can do that with my dogs. There's no fucking way I'd do that with another dog.
Well, there's some work dogs. There's some dogs I work with that I could do that. I know I could. There's dogs I could put my head in their mouth while I'm like doing their nails. Yeah. And I know nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. That's how I find like Bruiser. He just sounds like he's got an intimidating bark. It's definitely
because he's big.
But he's such a little fucking chicken shit. Like,
yeah.
His biggest fear in life is the tape measure. Like, if you break out a tape measure, like when we were measuring the fucking room here.
Yeah.
He's fucking terrified. Like, just such a little, like, and he runs away. Tail tucked, runs. Yeah. And like his fight or flight is flight.
Yeah.
But he sounds not like that.
That's the little bitch that I need with Nova. You should just get him the same muzzle that we have. And I would be completely fine letting him and her get nose to nose.
Well, he's good with other dogs. He's just reactive. Like, and I know that I can say he is not going to do anything, but to another dog owner who isn't educated enough in dogs and reading them, it can, like, if that was just an any other dog, like when he's reactive. Yeah. Like he's not aggressive at all. And there's a fucking difference too. Like
but you also have to, if he could react poorly, and you have to be on top of that. I heard somebody
that's the thing is it's baby steps too, like Blue, I can trust her with anything at any time. And like Bruiser too, like we've worked on his like off leash and his recall and everything too. Yeah. And like we've taken him to the obedience classes where we can now have him like passing by and trying to avoid that eye contact. And like he's just like reactive, like, who the fuck are you? Who the fuck are you? That's kind of his energy. Where Blue is more of like just excited.
Yeah.
But like another dog might read that excitement differently too, because it kind of looks the same. So if she goes and gets excited to another dog, that other dog could go, holy fuck, who are you with this energy?
Could be too much.
100%. And that's why like you should never take your dog off leash without a proper recall. And we no longer do like the dog parks or anything, like
the fight clubs.
It's astounding to me that the very littlest of training can still go there. Like, it doesn't matter. You could have the best dog, but you could have them cornered in the wrong situation. And
you could take an aggressive dog there. There's nobody stopping you. And the city is putting public money into putting up those fences to start these little fight clubs. You want to be mad about the bike lanes, do it, but fuck the city for making dog parks. If you talk to
anyone who's actually a dog trainer, they're going to say the same fucking thing, is that I do not go to dog parks. And it's a recipe for a disaster, and it ingrains bad behavior too.
There's been stories of people who are just sadistic and take their aggressive dogs to dog parks for the sake of just watching them be violent.
Oh, no.
I heard about a guy who actually, there's a podcast I was listening to from a dog trainer, and he actually got employed by his city to be security at dog parks for these exact reasons. And he caught a guy that had been bringing his, like, I think it was a Great Dane, like massive dog, super aggressive, and just brought it in to fucking maul other dogs.
Like intentionally.
Yeah. And he finally caught him after he'd been doing it for like months and just like broke his jaw.
Well, and that's the thing is it's just like, if it's going to be a public dog park, anybody could come in, And it doesn't mean that it's a bad dog. It can be the bad circumstances too, And like, there's a lot of people who just get a dog because they're like, oh, hell yeah, a companion.
Yeah.
But then they don't do anything more than that.
Well, fuck the, the recall and the obedience aspect of it. is you could go to a dog park, like most of the time, 90% of the time, you won't find a single person there that knows how to break up a dog fight if it happens.
Oh, 100%.
People are gonna slap their dogs around. They're gonna pick them up and they're gonna pull and like, you know. I
So
just learned
what do you recommend in a dog fight? What to do?
So we've got at work, the company has a way to do it. There's steps that you're doing different things to get their attention. Eventually, I think there's like a really mild spray, and there's an air horn somewhere in there. But I'm thinking about the couple of dog fights that I've seen, and like, you get certain dogs, you get these like Molosser breeds, like Mastiffs and Corsos and Pit Bulls. They like, there's a good chance they could just, get pepper sprayed, and not that we have pepper spray, but you could do that and they'd probably just keep holding on, especially like super aggressive ones.
Yeah.
They're not going to give a shit about that.
They're not going to do
I just saw Staffy breeder that I really like, the little English ones outside of Lethbridge. They put a post out about something called like a stop stick, where it borderline looks like a paddle, but it's just this plastic, whatever, like a strong plastic, obviously, but this plastic thing, you stick it in a dog's mouth if it's clamped onto something, and you twist, and it's like, no matter how, obviously their jaws can be really strong, but you have a lot of leverage to just like open them up.
To unhinge.
And even Chelsea, she the first time she saw one of those, she was at a conference or like a training thing for doing the pity sports, the dog sports.
Yeah.
And she saw one of the instructors, he used it on a dog who like was great at the sports, but didn't have an off or release for like the tug toys. So he basically used that to teach release. But him and a bunch of other people were like, this is exactly what you want in a dog fight. I really desperately want to go get one and like keep it in my car.
Oh yeah, well,
mostly so
100% if you were to ever be at a dog park or anything, like something like
that. Or out in public, or like my dog gets jumped, or who I see it happen at work. Like, obviously I have to follow the steps that they do.
Yeah.
But I've asked a couple of my bosses when they're like, because they'll come in and they'll just randomly ask you like, hey, what's the signs of stress you need to look for? They'll just randomly quiz you on shit. And a couple of times they've been like, so what do we do in case of a bite? And you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. And they're like, yes, that's right. And then I've looked them dead in the eye and been like, what do you do when those don't work? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, when those things don't work, what do you do? And like, Chelsea made a good post about this the other day. Like, you can shove something in their mouth to get them to release. And if you don't have that available, and like nothing else has worked, it sucks, but unfortunately your next step is choking the dog out.
Yeah, I've always heard choking the dog out.
Because you need to get it to just relax. The other one too
I've always heard is to get another person to scoop their back legs out, because once they're off balance, but they're going to turn on you, and you have to be kind of prepared for that. That's one thing I heard that that's a good
potential one. I would throw that in as like a mid step, because I tried that, but you can pick them up. Like when Asia got like attacked by this little we had like a Boston Terrier pit bull mix, like it just looked like a yoked Boston Terrier. It was so cool looking. And it attacked, I mean, this thing was like 35 pounds, but it attacked my 70-pound dog. And just held on, and of course we picked him up because that's what we were taught to do. That didn't do shit. That dog just like stayed on her. What you want to do, and just if you're gonna pick them up, what you want to do is just make sure that they're not pulling. Because that's tearing the skin.
You can't pull them away from each other.
Like there was a girl at my work, she got bit by a golden retriever, hilariously enough.
Wild.
I think
not one you'd expect.
I think it was one of those like just after, like not long after it got neutered type things. And it just like something about it wasn't the same stress after that.
And then.
But she just went to go like introduce herself to the dog and look it over like we always do. And the thing like caught her arm and like wouldn't let go. And I think I didn't get like a whole lot of details. I wasn't there. I was like literally in the back, and it just kind of came out to like some blood on the floor. And
oh fuck!
The other girl in the salon being like, "We're going to the hospital."
Oh fuck!
And I had to stick back, and they kind of told me like, "Yeah, she got bit," and I had to just tell the parents. I was like, "Here's what I know. Somebody's gonna call you, some government agency that regulates these things. I don't know if it's the health region or what, but they're gonna tell you got to quarantine your dog for at least 3 days.
Okay.
inside the house. Like that's just one of those things you have to do.
And I imagine she's tested, goes and gets blood testing and
tetanus
shots.
shot. Yeah, I think that's what they do in the event of one of those. But yeah, like the parents, the owners of the dog, we call them pet parents. And
I refer to myself as a parent.
But they immediately wanted to like start trying to pull the dog off, and she had to be like, no, you hold him still. I'm gonna like push my arm just a little bit into him, just because I don't want him pulling and,
well, then
and
it's gonna
flesh.
instinct the tug, kind of like instinct too. You know, like
you're not really worrying about behavior shit at that point. You're just like, you want to stop any like damage, and just pulling is going to create more damage.
I've always heard to choke the dog out, like just to get your arm around their
or
neck.
slip lead if you have one. I try to I think I usually have one in my glove box just in case I'm like driving and I see like a stray dog.
Yeah.
Never had to use it.
Thank God.
But yeah, that's like the last thing you should do is be like choking out a dog. But you gotta know that, like, you know, it could get to that point.
Yeah.
You gotta be ready for it too.
You hope to never experience that in your life at all. And I mean, like, that's a huge reason why I'm not doing dog parks anymore too, is that even a great dog could be put in the wrong situation where it becomes reactive. It's the same as fucking humans too, is that you can be reactive. You know, you're not in a place where you can actually assess a situation fucking calmly.
Yeah,
and reactions, danger.
I always say Chelsea's more reactive than the dog, but they both have reactivity issues.
That's Brent with me. He's like, nah, you're too like,
you're the one that gets pepped up when you see another dog coming down the street.
Yeah,
when
right. And then they feed that too, because I go, oh shit, you know, and they like fucking feed that too, you know. 100%.
But one thing because we did this with Nova, I did this with Asia, and I think you've done the same thing with your dogs. Is there's something good about like getting them to just walk past the dog and ignore it, you know what I mean? But
we
especially
use the leave it command big time, is that the second you go to look, you can look to be interested in your surroundings, but there's a different look that's locking eyes, because now you kind of want to assess who that dog is, and like, am I bigger than you?
I think that's fine to a certain extent. It's too
long of an eye contact can be a challenge.
My rule with Nova now, when we're like doing the leash training or we're on walks, is you can fixate on whatever you want for however long you want, but like, you're following me, and 100%. To do that, you're looking at me occasionally. You know what I mean? If we're standing
they need to look up and like confirm with you. And if Bruiser ever goes in front of me, I turn around and we're going back the opposite way. And if you stand on your block, and I have in the beginning of training went back and forth in front of the same fucking house, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, until he learned, okay, like, I can't go past mom or else we don't go anywhere. We don't make progress. So if I see another dog and I see like any type of like alertness more than just curiosity, we turn around. We're not engaging in that behavior. We're now going to distract you and deter you from that. And then you only, like, to build off of that, you have to slowly introduce added distractions into that too. Because you can't just take a dog without any basic of training and throw them somewhere where there's 900 million things around you, and you can't keep their attention on you.
Yeah.
You know, there's only so much you can do, even when you're trying to control focus on another individual. It's fucking challenging, but you can't quite dump them into the deep end of the pool, because then that's when you're going to have those complications too. And I think that's what a lot of people don't realize in dog parks, is it's now, oh, I'm no longer on leash. Oh, there's something exciting over here. There's smells over here. And, you know, like, they're kind of like, that's where you're starting to allow that kind of shitty behavior, is because they're no longer beside you or behind you and not trudging forward.
Some of that you do have to kind of just accept. I think
there's the difference between going out with a working, like we're doing this as a work walk or episode.
Training walk,
yeah. Or just casual, you know what, go sniff around. I'm giving you a little bit of a more leeway, you know.
Realistically, every walk should be a training walk.
Well, you're always implementing your training too. There's a difference between I'm doing a walk with more commands than doing a walk that's more recreational for him too. And that's where the off leash comes in, is that in the park, you know, we look around, I mean, it's not a dog park or anything. And we can have them off leash, huge field. They don't go far away from us. But if I see across the street somebody walking their dog, I say, okay, come here, put you on the leash. And then we walk by and work on that distraction too, because they need that recreation too. They only have so much attention in those little brains whenever everything's working and working and working and working. They're going to be exhausted. They're going to go, fuck you. I don't want to listen. I'm not going to fucking do what you want me to do, you know? One obedience class, Bruiser had a meltdown. He was done with my shit. He was done with the commands. He laid on the floor on his side and just did not refuse to do anything. We have all these other dogs doing their pacing back and forth. And he's like, I'm not even going to pick a fight with no one. I'm done. I'm fucking done.
Yeah.
You know, because it's working their brain. You know, that's just as active. Like, it's just as important for them for that activity is that mental stimulation. And then knowing when to kind of have them a little bit more recreational, a little bit more freedom and off leash and everything, you know. But you can't take a dog who's not on the basics of anything off leash and then just throw them in a fucking dog park. Like, it. Yeah. No.
No, I've gotten to the point now where I'm like, I don't remember what it is. If it's like a 5 or a 6 foot lead. But I'm like, no matter where we are, you have that. Go sniff, walk in front of me, whatever. But like, if you hit the end of that, you're getting a correction. We're stopping. We're focusing up.
Yeah, there's never a tight leash. There's always got to be loose. The second you want to tighten that leash, we're going to turn it.
If you want to go sniff, if you want to go, obviously if they pee, I'm going to stop for them. But we're not stopping unless I stop.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
And they know when I stop, you stop. And when I go, you go. And you go that direction.
And eventually, with that consistency, they eventually do give up.
Yeah.
They're like, you know what? Fuck.
We started doing this just in the backyard. Now she's perfect in the backyard.
But there's a difference between her trying to test that leash and her actually being caught up in her surroundings too. You know, there's a difference that you kind of have to read off of them is that they're, I'm sniffing over here. I'm sniffing over here. And then that end of that leash and that correction, perfect. That's all she needs is she needs to be aware, oh shit, I'm still on a leash, you know? And that's what's nice about the prong collars. It's that nice correction. It's not a harmful thing. They have hide. They don't have skin. And it's just that attention to, oh, fuck, I'm still on a leash. I can't go that far.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between that and I'm slowly going to get a little bit further from you and further from you until this leash gets a little tighter and a little tighter and a little tighter. You know, there's a difference between caught up in your surroundings and testing you and testing if you're going to keep correcting and what they can get away with, you know?
Yeah. See, I've started leaning into the fact that I think Nova's got some boxer in her. So I've learned to accept a little bit of that watchdoggy behavior.
Yeah.
But I'm like, she's doing really good now with just, you can be that watchdog and have your eye on what you think might be a dangerous thing, but you're not allowed to fly off the handle about it. You know, because we've got, our neighbors have 2 Pyrenees.
Yeah.
And they obviously, again, kind of watchdoggy livestock guardian dogs.
Yeah. They both are just assessing each other.
They will bark and lunge at the fucking fence.
Oh shit.
The neighbors actually ended up putting a higher fence.
Oh fuck.
Last year because these things were sticking their heads over and
oh yeah.
kind of terrorizing Nova. She was a dick to them too, but
yeah.
We've gotten to the point where we're just because they're jumping at the fence she's getting to the point where she can't just run and hit the end of the leash to try to jump at the fence too. I'm look at them all you want, fixate, whatever.
Yeah.
But remember, you're on this leash and that leash doesn't go tight, period.
Oh, 100%. And it's trying to reel in that energy because they kind of get caught up in that energy too. Is I know Bruiser likes to bark at the neighbor's dog all the time, but whenever I see his alert and I'm going to go to that fence and Bruiser, get the fuck back here. Okay, mom. And then there's certain times where I'll give him 2 or 3 warnings and he'll try to go to the fence and then bark at the dog. The second I stand up to go towards the steps to grab your ass and wrangle you in, he goes, oh fuck, I'm so sorry. And then comes right back up.
Yeah.
It's because it's okay, no, you can. But the second I read that you're too alert, you're going to go in there to kind of I'm going to bark at that dog. You know, not so much of I'm sniffing the fence, I'm looking through the fence. But the second I see him going who's over there? I'm no, you're going to reel your ass back here. We're going to sit down. You're going to calm. You're going to chill out for a second so that he doesn't like build all of that anticipation. It's kind of correcting that energy before it escalates. And that's like a whole other thing, is trying to predict your dog's behavior, because you fucking know them. You know their personality.
Yeah.
You know how they act. I'm not trying to change you. I'm trying to work with you, man. I'm trying to, like, me and you, we're going to meet common ground. We're both going to understand what each other wants, to the point that I can say their names in different octaves of my voice, and they know when they expect a different reaction.
Yeah.
On my end, you know?
I go into my backyard every day when I let the dog out, and it's just a matter of, are the neighbor dogs out? Do I get to just relax because I just got home from work and I'm letting her piss and like watch a video on my phone?
Or when it's going to be a training
or I'm like,
episode.
okay, I got to focus up because I can hear these dogs. They might start breaking. They've actually been getting better.
Nice.
I've been hearing them using the clicker a lot.
Okay, I've never trained with a clicker. I feel like I'd lose that fucking clicker all over my house every fucking where I turn.
You would. I know it's I listened to a podcast of a guy that he does like the police dogs and the Schutzen sport, and bite and protection and scent and whatever, and he made a good point that he trains all his dogs with an e-collar and a clicker.
Okay.
Because then he's kind of got a
pre-warning.
He's got a yes and a no that don't involve a leash.
Yeah.
So.
Well, because the leash too, they can read your energy off of that leash, which is beneficial and also detrimental sometimes too.
They can, but they don't always. Because part of reading your energy is them listening to you, and they're not always going to do that. And especially like a leash and a collar, some whatever kind of collar you want, that's going to be the ultimate, like, hey, listen to me, because you can kind of get their attention.
Mm-hmm.
Say they have so many nerves in their neck, but if you want to not have that leash, if you want to control your dog from a distance the way like working dogs do, that's a really good way to just have a yes and a no, that if they aren't listening to you, they can feel it.
Yeah.
At least the no. You kind of, the clicker, they have to listen
for
it, but you have that like very long reach. And I've never used one personally, but I know Chelsea got trained in them, and we were kind of thinking about it for a while. It'd be fun to try to get Nova like with some off-leash stuff, but
do you feel like she'd start responding to the clicker? Because how old is she?
Clicker? No, she's too old for that. She's like 3 or 4 now.
Where do you find it that old dogs can't learn new tricks?
They can. They just, there's certain things that you can't expect from certain dogs depending on their history. You can't, like
you can't expect a guard dog from one that hasn't been doing guard dog trainings for years
and doesn't have it in their breed and like has no inclination to it. Yeah, you can't like take, like a bully that's been raised from birth to like be aggressive to other dogs and fight other dogs, and its parents were bred to fight dogs, and its grandparent, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then
you can't take one of those and put them in a room with like your baby
and expect domestication to
or
have
your
just
5-pound
happened.
Yorkie or something. Like, it's always like you should never trust a dog. You get an 8-year-old dog that it was like a champion fighter, and then somebody ruined it or rescued it.
Yeah.
You're not putting that dog around other dogs ever, probably.
Oh, 100%.
But to it, like, you can get a 3-year-old dog and do some behavior modification type of shit.
The basics of trainings, but it's a little bit different when it's, like you
what
said,
I mean?
like the rescue kind of aspect into that too, because you don't know the history. And that's a huge difference in a challenge to overcome.
Don't know the history.
Yeah, 100%.
And they're just trying to shove dogs out because they don't have the room for them, and there's just an overwhelming amount coming in.
Oh, and it's constantly being flooded, and it's not getting better. Nothing's changing.
They say they vet you. I don't know if they do. I filled out an application, and within a day I had a 70-pound pit bull named Asia.
Oh, that's how you got Asia?
SPCA, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously it didn't show any super aggressive signs towards animals or people at the time, but like, I don't know, if I was the one running that rescue, I'd want to have a face-to-face conversation with whoever's adopting that dog.
Nobody ever met you and saw how you interacted with the dog or anything?
We went and like took her out into that little like fenced
area
park
that they have outside.
Yeah, we let her run around, and she did her cute little army crawl, and we fell in love, and like, we brought her back. We're like, hey, we'll put in the application. And they're like, well, somebody's coming on somebody's coming on Monday. And I think we kind of got the implication that nobody was coming for her on Monday, but there was an oven, there's a spot in the oven going to be ready for her in a little bit to be put down. So we were kind of like, yeah, we'll be there Sunday.
Yeah.
And we picked her up, and I think even at the time they were like, I can't find your application. We were like, oh, we're this and that. We essentially just did the application again. They were like, all right, here you go.
Yeah.
Have fun. And looking back on it now, I'm like, somebody should have sat down and been like, do you know how to break up a dog fight? Do you know where pit bulls? You know what I mean?
Or like some type of
and
assessment or something. But it's hard because when you put more obstacles for adoptees, like it's going to create more to the problem too, because again, they can't keep up with how many are coming in, and they just want them to go to good homes, but they don't assess if that's a good home or causing more harm or anything.
But that's what goes back to me hating the way breeding isn't regulated.
Well, 100%. And again, you can't always regulate the breeding.
I think a third of all dogs bred are going to end up killed in shelters.
That's
in
crazy.
North America.
That's
and
crazy.
It's like you don't need the people like whatever. I beat this horse to death, but you don't need the people.
No, 100%. It goes back to I don't think it's something you can really control, and that fucking sucks.
They could at least
Some
try to.
Some people sucks. Yeah, I don't know how the logistics, because you know that it comes back down to legality shit too. Like it just all comes back down to things that I don't want to waste my brain cell trying to understand, or unless I put my full-time commitment and effort into that, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. Anyways, that's a good time to wrap this first one up.
Yeah, neat. Anything you want to say about this before we're
I'm
throwing
excited.
it at people?
I'm excited because we've got some banked and I know where this is going, and I'm excited for where it's going to go once we run out of those.
I'm happy that we recorded this as kind of at the end of where these next episodes are going to lead from.
Yeah.
You know, like I think everybody's going to notice a little bit of an increase in sound quality. Like I'm sure this one sounds really good.
Yeah.
And then the next few are going to kind of sound a little weirder, a little shittier, but I mean, like it was all kind of part of the journey. We've kind of
doesn't last that long.
Grown a little bit. Yeah. And then we'll see where it goes. I like that we called it without intent, because I think that's a really good umbrella. We don't really want to have a whole lot of forced direction into this project. I guess the overall, I guess, direction is just sitting down mostly with artists and creators of all different sorts. It is a way better
name than some of the other ones that we thought of. Artism as a play on autism.
I loved it. I loved it so much, but it was taken.
Dumb in the best way.
So good. But I like without intent. That works, because then we can kind of take this wherever we want to go. And I think we're both kind of just leaping in, knowing this is something we want, but not trying to force it into becoming something. I like that.
Yeah, we're trying to learn here. We're trying to experience things, not just be painfully oblivious.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Some other people that are in the art industry.
Jumping in 2 feet without thinking through. But at the same time, I kind of like not thinking through, you know? Without intent kind of plays on that. I don't know. We'll see whatever the fuck happens.
Without
that's
intent,
just
but with respect.
Oh, I like that. Cool. We can put that on the descriptor. Maybe. I don't know.
That's fun. Anyways, where can people find you?
I am Mouse Tattoos on Instagram. Yeah.
And I'm SatansForeskin on Instagram.
Yeah, so
like, subscribe, do all that fun shit.
And I guess
or don't, it's up to you.
2 weeks, Every 2 weeks.
Every couple of weeks. This is coming out on Father's Day. We'll see y'all in July.
Happy Father's Day. I love you, Dad.
Love you, Fartman.
Yeah.
Okay, deuces, sluts.
Bye.